Hello guys, come on in. So this is Zero and Garage Days Collection. I'll give you guys a quick tour. All of our offices, I try and have like a skate living room, have a place where you can read magazines and watch videos and, you know, kind of like that skate shop vibe that I experienced when I was a kid that I truly appreciated. I always try and set something up like that. This is my magazine collection. Some of these I had since I was a kid. Brought them out like in my trunk of my car when I moved to California. I was like homeless in San Francisco, but had magazines in the car. So we have some cameras up here, and then we have some King of the Road trophies. I had an X Games trophy from '95. That's that background in the beginning of my part in Welcome to Hell. Trophy was hideous, and I just was like, ah, man, what am I doing with this? It's been in a box, been in storage. I put it on the Garage Days Collection eBay for 1,500 bucks, and it sold like the first day I put it up. Just so I could remember it, I bought this trophy for $7 on eBay. I had a little nameplate, and it just says 1995 Extreme Games Best Trick. So it's kind of like my replacement. I wanted this board as a kid and never got it. And then I saw this one on eBay and just thought it was so cool that it was like all beat up and it had a broken kingpin and the guy just said F it. So I thought that was cool. These are a bunch of just the photos from the years. This is Adrian, late 90s Vietnam trip, John Alley skateboarder cover. This is an OG Vine board from like 97, 98. This is the board that Reynolds in the Birdhouse video, The End, frontside flips that 15 stair. It's called Silvergate. I was there, he broke his board, and I had one of these in the car. He just put 3 strips of duct tape over Zero. He did it in like 1 try, I think, with the new board. And this is the original premiere poster from Misled Youth. And this is the first free board I ever got. Reel sent me some boards in the early 90s. And I didn't save the board, and I always wish I had one, but this guy, Justin Betts, made this for me. A few weeks after he gave it to me, he passed away in a motorcycle accident. It was really sad, but it's kind of like got dual meaning now. Very precious to me, my first board, you know, free board, and then the fact that Justin made that for me and then passed away shortly after. It's a very sad story. This is a painting that someone just sent me, and I was just so shocked that he gave it to me. Shingles is his last name. Amazing artist. This is a Misfits collab, which is so surreal. A guy reached out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, I grew up with Jerry Only's son. I didn't take it serious. He's like, why don't you make some mock-ups and I'll show him. Finally, like 6 months later, I made some mock-ups and sent them to him. And he's like, Jerry loves them. Here's his manager's number, call him. And I was like, this is so weird. I called him and he's like, yeah, we'd love to do it. Anyway, it was just on. Got a couple of photos, Ellington photo, Lopez. Kind of have like these photos remind us, you know, the history of the brand and where we came from. This is Ryan Smith. We were really good friends in this era, and we hung out a lot, and like I filmed him a lot, and it was like we had a great relationship. You know, he gradually got more and more into alcohol, and our relationship grew further and further apart. He's a great dude, amazing skateboarder, and without addiction. I love the guy. We have Zero's online sales where we have all the stock for that. And then we have all of my junk that we're gonna go through some of it today. Zero is part of a distribution company called Black Box. You know, I asked my partner Chad, I just said, hey, 4 of every board that we make, just put them up top. 1 was for me, 1 was for Zero, 1 was for the rider, and 1 was for him. And then when we shut Black Box down eventually, there was just like 13 or 14 pallets in the middle of the warehouse. And I was like, hey, what's all that stuff? And they're like, that's all yours. I work on this business 2 days a week, and there's 2 different categories. Some stuff where the boards weren't like the iconic board. Those would just go on eBay and I'd list them for like 20 bucks, starting bid, and then they would sell for $20 or more. And then I started a website about 4 years ago where I sell like the higher end stuff. Garage Days Collection is basically my personal collection. Saved a bunch of t-shirts and shoes, and ended up with like 10 bins. And that's kind of cool, but it's also like, what am I gonna do with it all? You know, my kids, they didn't see my kind of career going. You know, they were like really young when I was like in the peak of my career, so they don't really have an interest in wanting hand-me-downs for my career. You know, they're into like, I don't know, the new dime drop. You know what I mean? They're not trying to like wear dad's old crusty shirt. I basically am focused on identifying what products go where, making sure the descriptions are right, and making sure that people get a little bit of the backstory. And like the smaller boards, I donated them all to like YMCA's, and I donated probably 1,000 boards. So it was cool to be able to donate and give stuff to people. This side's a little bit cleaner. This is Zero's direct to consumer. This is all the current boards in the current line. And this is all the apparel in the line. People will reach out and be like, hey, this was my first board, do you have one? They like get to this nostalgic point in their life and they really want to reconnect with their first board. It's a really personal, kind of intimate exchange. So all of this though, it all stems from that feeling of, you know, me as a kid, like not knowing if it was possible to have a life in skateboarding. I wanted to save all the stuff to make sure it was real. You know, there's just like shirts that I wore in Dying to Live, you know, in the video part, a hat from Dying to Live. I mean, it's just real crazy. This is one of the first Zero shirts we ever made from the Tomieto days. It's crazy I even fit into that. Yeah, this is from Thrill of It All. I'm in the process of purging and letting go. I've already disconnected from it. I recycled a bunch of old Zero boards, so I did like custom grip on them all. Whenever we can, we try and offer products that have some sort of uniqueness to it. So I'm kind of taking things that I learned on the Garage Days site and then like pushing it over and figuring out how to do similar type stuff and experiment with the Zero site. It goes really well and people love it, so it's cool. These are boards that I've ridden, you know, over the last few years. This is from my Battle Commander. Also, this is a part of the Garage Day stuff that people really want ridden boards. Putting time into the grip and kind of making the board special and loving the board, you know, enjoying riding it and then like passing it on to someone who's interested in it is such a cool process. I'm never really quite sure about selling because I like love the board too and I'm not sure if I want to part with it, but emotional filtering is probably what it is. We have three different elements of our business. One is this person looking for this special product. One is a person that visits our website and is just shopping. And one is that's just on eBay that wants a bargain or wants to try and find a board. I basically always am working on archiving for those three different customers. So that's kind of the system that we got going, is putting a certain amount of stuff on eBay and then having your premium stuff on the website. We photo inventory everything too, so I pretty much know what we have. This was, yeah, the original Zero board from 2001. There's a bunch that are old in here. There's a whole like this is a 97 board, like the original Thrill of It All board for the video coming out. There's a Dying to Live board signed by me, Cole, and Lopez. The Simpsons are like pretty mellow about their cease and desists. Yeah, this series went nuts. It's made by this death metal artist called Defame. He basically just had the Simpsons, like their souls coming out of them or their skeletons like ripping out of them.
Were you skating bigger boards back in the original Zero video days? Or?
In the early ones I was, and then I blew my knee out in '99 and I went to a 7/8 and an 8 for about 3 years or 4 years. And then I rode an 8 and an 8 all the way until my Battle Commander in 2012. I felt like I was riding too small of a board. I don't know if you remember it, but I rode all these weird boards.
Yeah.
I tried to go back to a small board and I couldn't do it. It really was the trucks. I really liked the comfort of a really wide truck. And then I hung out an 8.5 for a bit, and then I rode an 8.6 one time and just loved it. And then it's kind of what I ride now. Yeah, shoes is, I kind of like, I didn't save my Pro models so much for keepsake. They take up a lot of room. Plus I don't have as much nostalgia for them. It's definitely a smaller niche collector that collects shoes. I have such a weak pop switch backside. It's so low, but switch front side, just the way it works, I was always able to like rotate it over. But switch backside, I've never even done a switch backside grind on a curb. Switch frontside 180s I started investing in the 90s, early 90s. Then just built on that. Switch 5.0 grind, 180 out, switch tail slide, switch lip slide. I just remembered being like hyped that I could do a switch trick. I mean, I was learning them back then. I was doing like, you know, switch 180 nose grinds and stuff, but they were all switch frontside. This was like my last audio shoe, and then it turned into this shoe. Never came out, but I'm selling these this week. Let and go, only pair.
Do you think you could skate these again?
I could skate anything if I had to. I don't want to, but yeah, I could skate any of these shoes, even the super puffy ones. If I skated it once, I could skate it again. I definitely wouldn't like it though. So here's what the photos look like. I put them in a template and then they just are ready to go right on the site. No, a lot of pros have this problem, but no one's willing to do the effort and the work to do it. I've done consignment for people before, other people with collections, but not pros. And I had a pair of Sean Malto Adidas samples, like they made a mock shoe for the meeting that had his name on it. And like one of the sales reps ended up getting to keep a pair. You know, I knew him and he wanted to sell them and they sold like right away. It was one of two, there was 2 pairs. Nadas put on his Instagram, hey, I found these 18 boards in my mom's basement and I'm selling them all. DM me an offer if you're interested. Right away, I DM'd him and I just said, hey, this is Jamie Thomas. I'd really like to buy one of your Red Panthers. I'll give you $2,000. I saw like that he was gonna respond, like the dots on the DM, and then it disappeared. He didn't respond. And then a buddy of mine had his number and I called him and I was like, hey, you got Nadas' number? He's like, yeah, I'm on my way driving to work. Like when I get to work, I'll send it to you. I was like, no, man, I need you to pull over. I need you to pull over and send me the number. And he's like, wait, what? I text him, I'm like, I don't mean to bother you, but I know you just put all these boards up and dots again. He didn't respond. And I was like, all right, this is weird, I'm calling the dude. And I just called him and he's like, hello? I was like, hey, Nadas, this is Jamie. I'm sorry, I know I'm hassling you. He's like, it's okay. He's like, everyone just keeps asking me, how much? How much you thinking? What do you want for them? And he's like, I wanted offers, not like to negotiate. How about one of those Red Panthers for $2,000? He's like, yeah, of course, that sounds great. I asked him to sign the top and he signed the top and it was like perfect. It's probably one of my favorite boards in my collection. It's at home on the wall. So
and his handwriting is
so cool.
Too,
yeah, so cool.
Really big fan of the impossible grind on Clipper, man.
Oh, thank you. You know, I was almost 40 when I did that. I realized that 40, most people aren't really pushing their pro careers. And that's probably one of the highlights of my career, I'd say. Probably one of the top 5. And it's weird to have a highlight that late, but all that stuff's a blessing. It doesn't make me want to keep chasing it. It's just, that desire has to come from within, and if it's not there, then I'm not trying to fake it. I'm not really doing anything that dangerous these days. You know, I'm skating skate parks and stuff. For like video parts and stuff, it's kind of me staying perpetually stuck in my career. I did it for so long and I didn't really identify that the longer I did it, the more I stayed stuck until recently. Not continuing to live in the past. I think I fell victim to that for a really long time. Trying to be what I thought other people wanted me to be, or trying to live up to some expectation either I had or somebody had. I struggled a lot with identity, and the more I stayed in the van and kept staying on the missions, I kept putting pressure on myself to feel like I should be filming tricks and I should be filming video parts, and I just don't think it's healthy for me to put that type of pressure on myself with all the responsibility I have with a family and a business. I used to be able to balance both, but so now I'm just really trying to enjoy skating and just stay in touch with why I skate and why I started skating. That's really what it's all about. Like when I first started skating, it was all about progression. I wanted to learn new tricks, I wanted to push myself. You know, I wanted to see how far I could take it. I feel like my goal these days is just to stay in touch with that feeling on my skateboard, where I'm enjoying it, I'm scaring myself a little bit, I feel alive, and I just am reminding myself, like every time I skate, why I skate. And if I can stay in touch with that, I feel like I'll die a happy man.